quest?
We're loaded into both quests. This is into that right now.
Why is it conference line around?
Oh, because team 11 wants people to get like wants the players to see the game.
Ah, I see.
Make sure that Team 7's video is launched in VLC Media Player because it's not encoded properly.
Of course.
Yeah.
Cheeky bastards.
Apart from that, should just be smooth.
Right on.
Let's get some completion.
This is BBW, right? Not Visual Story. Well, yeah, but the actual class is.
Let's try to win.
Yes. Do we have white?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of running low, but I think that should be enough.
Okay. Lauren Chang?
Maybe.
When does this class start?
Officially?
Yeah.
Like 305.
Oh, 305. Okay, that's missing. Boom.
Expected.
They're good for today. Tomorrow is going to be like half an hour phone call with the live teaser tomorrow, but they have different headsets. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that needs to happen in that half hour. So if everything goes smoothly, it should be fine. There's a good chance classrooms like can translate.
For which one?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah.
We'll make it work. This whole round has been make it work. Make it work, make it work, make it work. Visual Story tomorrow starts at 3:35. Improv ends at 2:20. So according to my calendar, 12.
I was sitting there at the Visual Story. And I'm like, oh, is there a people that I should get in?
We haven't done it.
And I was like, first. I'm like, okay. And here I am standing two for approach, and then two to BC. And I was thinking of you in the back of my head. You did say it's small. So I wrote two BC.
get this party started. All right, you guys gonna do attendance?
We're gonna do it, yeah. So, Lori, you want to do quick attendance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Team 7. Visual Story Team 7. Ah, sorry. Okay. Team 8. Team 9. Team 10. Oh, okay. Who's missing on Team 10? Okay. Right. Team 11. Okay. Team 12. Okay. And Team 14.
You know what, Laura, could,
Okay.
so we are gonna do, never mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for bearing with us through some of the scheduling confusion, but I think we're in good shape today.
Yeah, we're great. We're doing well.
So we're gonna do it. We're gonna watch, play, and experience the final story.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Before we get going, any questions about how it's gonna go? I think most of you are used to how we share worlds, but do we have any worlds that are cave cavern today? Okay, so we'll be doing those on video and then going up. All right, so good to know.
And John's not here. John's on camera. He's in LA at the, what is it, Infinity Festival. And so he's there. Hey, John. Woo. Thanks for joining us. And we're ready to roll.
All right, which team's going first?
Team 7/49.
All right.
Team 7.
Come on up. Team 7.
Hello, my friend.
Hello!
Our magical school is hiring a new magical professor.
Wow!
Are you interested?
Very interested.
Welcome. Come with me and see our manager. Hi, welcome.
我可以给你
Do you want to fill out this application form first for me?
Sure, why not? What should I fill?
First, your name.
阿瓦达克达巴
Second, just make sure that you're applying for advanced spell professor.
Advanced
It's right here.
Professor.
Then next is your skill registration. Can you write down any sounds you use for your fire spells and ice spells? Great. The last step is using this machine to scan your power. Beep. Oh, you're really powerful. You're the person we're looking for. Coming. Welcome to our school. Welcome, this is our main hall. Please step on the platform. In my room. So the first class is when you get used to the spells. Use your ice spell to heat the fire monster.
妈呀！哎呦！
Very good job. Then it's your exam. In order to get
Ayo.
your job.
哎呦！
Good job.
妈呀！哎呦！哎呦！
He's really good at this. Yes, he is.
妈呀！哦，哎
powerful, really powerful.
I think he's the best.
Yes.
Congratulations. I think you're the person we are looking for.
I finally caught you. Your sacrifice was my insatiable dark magic. Don't even think about that exit door. You'll never make it out of here alive. I can't
Watch out, Manager. He's attacking.
going to take more than that to take you.
You can never defeat us. Take care, Manager. He's attacking. You can never defeat us. Understood.
All right. So we're going to be trying to play it after class as well. But man, watching this, like you guys are doing a really good job with the whole mixed media thing. Like you've got the story starting in the outside, we go inside, and you're doing a lot of good stuff to blend the reality and the virtual set stuff. And I think that's I like the little changes you made, like the scanner at the beginning. Like my favorite part of all this was the laugh of like, oh, he's really powerful, and like that sinister laugh. And so I like the how you've shifted this to have a lot more setup. Oh, we need help. We're trying to get wizards to come here, and there's a sinister plot that's happening. And so I think that's working really, really well. And also watching the gameplay, it felt simplified, which felt good. And so like I think you've got the context now, like just trying to like sort of think through and like understand the story as it's told. We're applying for this role and we're being tested, right? If we are going to be a good wizard. I can't remember exactly what the title was. I think you told me like, what is the title of the job we're applying for? Magical Professor. So like you've got this great setup of like, oh, we're going to test you. Can you pass the exam? And oh, you're really powerful. Like some nice, just sort of like building us up. And like the simplification of that looked really good. Looked like it's like about like just, hey, can you cast a spell here and cast a spell there? And then we get to we sort of see like the bottom falls out and we're now fighting the Dark Wizard. Definitely, I had some like initial like, who is that? So like the introduction of this character felt, it was a little hard to tell exactly who that was and their relationship. So I got the sense that they're an enemy and a villain. Like they're definitely evil. But from a like relationship perspective, it was mostly like they're sort of like a character, almost like a boss battle, as opposed to a relationship with me. And then the other thing I was struggling with is like the ending feels very sudden. And it was a little hard to tell what caused the ending. I did like little nods of like, don't even think about that exit behind me. Like you're doing a good job of setting up the problem that, and like the idea that I've been trapped, I need to escape. I want to see it in person, but watching it, the integration of the green screen video and the space looked really good. I just like the world you've built, how it feels, and I want to see what it feels like to be there and try it. But definitely, like if I had to like push on anything, is the sense in that final battle, like the idea of progress. It looks like it's hard to tell. It's like it's hard to tell, am I doing well or doing poorly? And therefore, success and failure feel surprising, and they probably feel a little confusing if I had to guess.
Yeah, I played through the soft the other day, and I didn't get to the ending, but see, you hadn't finished it up yet. But the setup was great. I like what you've done at the beginning of it and giving and telling people what to do. Come up with a spell that you need to write down. When I did that yesterday, I didn't get that the other day, so that was cool to get tell your user to do that. I really liked. Again, I like the blending of everything, getting up onto the platform and giving spells out and killing these things, blowing these things up. Really cool. I really particularly thought it was very, very smart and really effective when you're like, playing into my ego. Yeah. Oh, you're so good. You're so good. You're the perfect person. We got you. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was a fantastic setup. I agree with Dave. When you get into watching it on the screen, and I'm going to be interesting to see how I play it upstairs, I didn't quite get the ending. I didn't quite understand what was happening, who the Dark Wizard was, and how I was defeating him. So it seems like you guys, you need to tell me this. Like at the ending, did you feel you're running out of time, and you feel you have a closure on the experience? It doesn't seem rounded right now.
I think in the video, the fight feedback is not very clear because we actually have kind of status that the enemy showing that they are getting hit. And the lines also indicate that you have 3 chances that if you hit the enemy for 3 times, you'll get him down. And if else, you'll like lose the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
No, it's good to hear that you've thought through like how to show that progress. I definitely also wonder, I know the controls are very simplified in the sense that like I can shout the spell and I sort of point in a direction, but the control is sort of by a keyboard kind of triggering things. And the training, like the enemies are just sort of in the middle, and so I think it looks like it connects in a way that probably makes a lot of sense to a guest. With the evil wizard bouncing around, it sort of implies a little more ability to aim, and I also wonder just how that feels. But yeah, I mean, I think I really like all the little touches you did with the story. Like, I feel like you have a good sense of this world. Like, this is the strategy that the wizards are using, the dark wizards are using to catch other wizards. All that stuff like feels well used, and I like all those choices. So.
Yeah, I agree. I felt it was fun when I did it the other day. I really had fun doing it. It felt I was just really into it. I go, this is really cool. And I can't wait to see playing it again with the ending intact to see if I can figure out what's really going on there. Yeah. All right, guys. Excellent. Any questions? You were going to say something?
I want to say thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Good work, guys.
Thanks, team.
Team 8.
Do you need a guest? I'll take the first one.
All right, cool. Ferris. All right, cool. Right on.
as soon as I touched the hand, it would sort of like pull, it would sort of warp me. And unclear which way I'd go, but in some sense, the hands felt like warp. Like they would basically transport me to the next spot. I know your world a little bit, so I know that we're sort of like kind of like gathering the parts of a computer. But from the experience, it felt like I was being led. Like I sort of had to like reach for the hand. It would take me somewhere, but it was definitely, I felt very in a very strange world. And I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, I didn't feel like I was supposed to know where I was going. So instead of having a world where I have a goal and a mission, I'm going to do this, the world was much more, it's kind of a weird world. Weird things are happening. Like, follow along, and we'll take you somewhere.
Should David have known what to do in that world, or is it just an exploratory situation where you just kind of, is there clues, items to pick up?
You were just supposed to grab the hand.
That was it, just to grab that hand. So he did that. So he knew to do that. You knew to do
And the
that.
fact that the hand was repeated over and over again, and the interaction stayed the same, like, I had confidence in that. It was, like, if you asked me, what does the hand do? I would say it sort of teleports me somewhere. If you ask me, though, like, what does the hand mean? Or, like, whose hand is it? I don't have a lot of good answers. But at the same time, the world felt intentionally mysterious. And so there was definitely, like, ambiguity about where I am and what I'm doing that felt in line with the world to a certain degree. Like,
Yeah, the hand works really well as a motif, as a strong visual motif, obviously. The hand coming into Dave at the beginning, pulling him in, maybe I had in my mind expecting something else, and I felt that didn't. Did you get that sense you were being pulled into the screen?
it felt like a beat off. Like, it felt like it triggered early.
There seemed something wrong with it. Yeah.
So, like, it was close. I got a nice sense of motion. Like, actually, the motion in this world was really effective. Like, the fact that I was moving as things were happening, like, it felt like I was being pulled. And definitely a piece of this world felt like I am being pulled in directions and I don't have much control. And, like, I don't know exactly, like, the meaning behind that, but it was definitely a feeling of I get pulled in places.
Yeah.
That first grab with the hand, it felt like it just happened fast, but I did feel it. Like, there's like a moving sensation that helps sell the moment.
Now, how did you know to start typing?
One, I know the world, but two, I think to the credit of the design, it's an oversized space. Like, the computer felt big. I have hand tracking, and there's basically a keyboard in front of me. And it's an interesting question, like, if you brought a naive guest in, would they eventually, like, reach for the keyboard?
That's what I'm asking you.
The nice thing about the keyboard, man, is it, like, the sound effect, the visuals, the keys going down, like, there's a lot of really good feedback there. And I think it's a reasonable expectation that someone would discover it, because the interactivity on it gave really good feedback. And I think it's a really clever intro to the world. Because if you have a guest who is new to this, like, it's disorienting. Like, the music and the sounds feel intentionally sort of like oppressive. Like, it's loud, and there's clicking, and it's just sort of like kind of uncomfortable. And there's not much you can do. And then once you start typing, I really like the fact that it types out sort of like what the character is feeling.
Yeah. The ending was great. The ending worked really, really well, I thought, when you're reaching out into you and pulling you back into this world. It seemed perfect. It's a perfect way to end that piece.
Yeah, the symmetry of it is really nice.
Yeah.
I think if it was the middle, like I said, it mostly made me feel like we were moving around. It didn't. The beginning and the end felt connected. The middle, I'm not too sure what it brought to the world besides, like, a feeling of being in a sort of a magical different place. And so I got the feeling of two worlds. But I think right now the world, if you think about all the pieces too much, there's not, like, a great explanation of what that space is. Yeah. I get a good sense of, like, the world of, like, I've got a job and I'm, like, doing a lot of work, but I'm a little bit like, I just had a cool experience. But if I push on, like, the bright magenta waterfall world, it's cool, but I don't know exactly what it means.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that exact question. Well, in that world, what is it? What were you trying to accomplish? What were you trying to say?
We were kind of struggling with that part of the story, like, until the end. Like, we couldn't really figure out how to, like, make collecting, like, computer pieces really tied to, like, because we were struggling with, like, the purpose of it. Like, why does the character want to collect those pieces? Yeah. So we just made it more of, like, a explorer type of thing instead of, like a mission.
So colors were really important to you to try to convey this alternate space besides the boring workspace? Mm-hmm. And colors were supposed to be exciting and warm and all that other stuff?
Yes.
It's like rainbowish kind of things?
Yeah.
But was there any other thing in that world you wanted to do that could achieve that besides just showing more of a kaleidoscope of colors?
Oh, so near the end, we were thinking about, like, using lighting to, like, give it, like, a different, like, a state of change kind of.
Yeah.
But when we turned down the lighting, it kind of lost the feeling of like dreamy and like fantastic type of thing. So we just left it like daytime and didn't mess with the lighting at the end. So, but I think like lighting or like some environmental changes would be.
Yeah, I think being in that world, I mean, it's cool the way it is, and it looks really interesting and cool. But you're right, Dave. You didn't really know what was going on in that world, why I'm in here now, what did it represent, and I think that's what I thought maybe you guys could, if this moves on and you do something, another iteration of it, thinking about what that world represents and how you can use those sort of symbols to help them realize what the representation means.
Yeah, and I like the final question is like, do you want to help him? And it feels like the answer to that could be related to what I did in the world. And I guess the question is, what does it mean to help the person in the screen? And the reflection of that is, how was I helped? And I think the one thing I would look for is if I could connect the beginning, like I have a sense of my problem, which is I'm in a world that is just all about work. And now I'm brought to this new world, and I would wonder, how did that help me? And then I would know when I get to the screen of the other person, what it would mean to help them. And that feels like the piece that would sort of tie the beginning, the middle, and the end all together. But man, like it was a really cool world to experience. I think you made a lot of really great choices. And I really appreciate them. This is like a really lovely use of video in VR. Like it's a simple way to do it, but it worked really well. So really strong choices.
The audience respond when you get on the screen, even though they don't know you. But still, the idea of using video just kind of, it's like a whole other layer. You've taken it up a whole other layer of experience.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Good work.
Cool, good job, guys.
Team 9.
Yeah. Watermelon. Watermelon University, right?
Very delicious university.
What's that? Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Good. Move it on the side. Beautiful. All right. Okay. Whew. I've got nightmares now. So, I needed help. I'm not quite sure I knew where I was going, what I was doing. I knew there was clues I had to pick up, because I remember this from when I saw it the first time, or experienced when you guys were talking about it. But I wasn't quite sure, I wasn't quite sure what was happening with the TV. I wasn't quite sure what objects were activating what. Like the pan on the floor was cool, and I heard the sound of it and all that, but I wasn't quite sure where. It didn't have any blood on it. I was looking at it thinking I saw blood on it. The knife in my hand, when I picked the knife, it was like I expected to have blood on it for some reason. So I wasn't quite sure what I was doing in this world. I knew I was picking clues up, but the clues weren't giving me any response. I wasn't. And what else? And like you mentioned, the counter, interactive stuff on the counter. But I was picking up a cup, I was picking up the knife, but that's all I was doing, right? Was it anything happening when I picked those knives and cups up? And was I supposed to get some kind of information?
Just for you to interact with the environment. It doesn't make any sense.
Just to do it for the hell of it, just pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So we have like broken phone or bloody pots that kind of trying to draw your attention to touch them, and that's where it gets you to the next stage.
Okay, but what was activating the television screen with the monster or the death or the murder, whatever that was? The broken items. The broken items. So if it wasn't broken, it wasn't activated? Yeah. Okay, all right. But you can say something?
So things are a lot clearer when the eye level is,
Yeah, the light level was up here. I felt like I was a little kid running around.
Yeah, exactly. Because we tested this today after submitting the final bill multiple times, and the eye level was right, but I don't know what was happening with the play level or anything. But
why couldn't I get through that other door that was behind the counter? It was locked, so that's why jiggling of the locks. Okay, because I was trying to get through that. So what activated the monster to come? Was it the
final opening the door? Yeah.
The final opening the door?
And just flashbacks are supposed to be getting pieces of your memory back, but the more you interact with the interactable objects, basically you're helping the creature to take over your body a little more. So when you try to get your memory back, you're not only serving yourself, but also the creature to take over your body. So it's kind of in a loop motion, yeah.
All right. I loved the world. I felt really engaged in it. I really did feel like I was walking around in it. I loved the way, even though the perspective was strange for me, and you already mentioned that, but I felt I was really in this space. I felt like I was really immersed in it, and I really wanted to explore it. I had to figure out what I was exploring at first, and it took me a while. And and even the broken things you mentioned now, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. It was the broken things that was creating these flashbacks. I thought the flashbacks were just on rails. They were just happening every so often, and I didn't know whether I was really activating a flashback or not. That you were triggering it, somehow. It was triggered from whatever. So, but I loved the world. I really thought I was in it. It felt weird. It felt spooky. It felt, and then the payoff at the end, I wanted to see that monster a little bit more, that red, whatever, looked like it was like a, beat man. Looked like he had no skin on him, like he's been flayed. Yeah.
The ending scene, was that a monster or was it a mirror?
Supposed to be a
It was
mirror.
me. It was supposed to be me.
So there is one reflective layer in between those mirrored rooms.
Yeah.
No, and a lot of Ralph, what you're saying, the atmosphere of this world is great. The music, the world, I think it's a good size to feel like you can move around it. All of those little pieces work really well. The intros, I like how you have to learn how to teleport to start the world. So you did some nice things about getting a guest into here that worked really well. The cutscenes on the TV space are really interesting. I love how they bring context. I also wonder, from a story perspective, what they mean. Is there, because And I think that would be like so the two big story challenges are, I think the clarity of the story is just hard to get. Like you have a story that's sort of intentionally mysterious, and then the reality of the story is just kind of complicated. So like those questions about who the guest is and what they're trying to do. But I love like the idea of ending with a mirror. I think it's a really, like it feels like it fits the story you're telling. And like I said, I really love the context of the TV cutscene. I wonder, from a story perspective, what it says. And like, because you talk about the idea of gaining memories, and I like that idea of like, oh, we're recovering memories. And I wonder, if there was a way to use the TV metaphor to help clarify the idea of memories, because it's a very effective way to like bring sort of a reality to that cutscene. But it also brings a lot of like, it's a TV, and I'm sitting and watching it, so my brain's sort of like wondering, what does that mean? But so it's like I really like the use of it. I wonder how it fits the story. And I mean, I think that it feels like I think that the height thing might just be a centering thing we need to do. But overall, like you really, I think, hit an atmosphere really well. And I think you all know the story, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Like you know it. And so like the last piece, how do you get some of that clarity of the story to get to the guest without taking away too much of the mystery?
Yeah.
I think you made a lot of good choices, like the idea of broken objects and stuff like that. And it's not quite in a place where I think if you had a guest run through this, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I know the whole story and I know all the things. But I think you did capture a lot of this atmosphere. And that atmosphere comes from a lot of these pieces of the story. So I think a lot of good work here.
I have a question. When Nolan took away the controllers, I saw the hands were reddish, right? But I didn't notice that in the piece. When I had the controllers in my hand, I didn't notice my hands being anything. So wasn't that part of the story? Is the hands changed over time? So when did I didn't notice them changing until right at the very, very end when Nolan took the controllers out of my hand.
The first time you watch the flashback, there's like a couple red dots. The second time, there's like a huge
I did not notice that.
Missed
that entirely.
That final, there was a moment near the end where you did reach your hands up.
That's when I saw them really change.
And there was a great audience reaction. So you had a really nice contrast there.
And that connected to the screen really well. But I didn't notice, I wasn't really noticing the change happening over my experiences through the rooms in the world. So that would have been, if I would have noticed those changes happening to my hand every time I picked an object up, that would have made more sense to me, what was going on, especially with the payoff at the end. That would have made perfect sense. It would have been closure on what was going on. But I did not notice it so much.
Good work, team.
Basically this front. Yeah. Because we require player to walk around at this.
Michael, you want to do this one? Why don't you do this, Kurt? Come on. I don't know.
This one's not.
It's scary. I don't know if I want to go in there.
That's scary.
Okay. Fine. I'll protect you. Thank you.
audio. You just put down the controllers. Push it.
Welcome aboard, captains. Initiating launch sequence. Autopilot engaged. Autopilot malfunction. Enabling manual control. Warning. Fuel level low. Warning. Fuel level critical. Recommend initiating departure sequence. Initiating return sequence.
So Michael, tell us about it. Your experiences.
That was a really powerful experience. I have a little bit of knowledge because I sat in the beginning of where this was going to start. But you really put me in the garage, the space room where it was being constructed, in the space station at the end. You brought the memories home of I'll call her my wife, of the other person there. The watch was a connection back and forth with bringing that memory there or not. The dog was a reminder of that wife. And I saw at the end, the only thing that was throwing me a little bit was when I was in the space, I could go and save the dog. It was rotated funny. I didn't expect to see it coming from the bottom, but I wanted to save the dog as my current future, even though the memory of my wife dying was very powerful and brought home with the pocket watch that was, I guess, my gift to her, and then she's giving it back to me. Then she dies, and I'm there remembering all this as I'm in a dilemma up in space. And the dilemma, I chose the dog. I don't know what would have happened if I would have chose going after the memory of the wife, if I'd just be lost forever. I instead said back, and it brought me back to my reality with the dog. So that's what I did. But there's so much stuff there. We could talk for an hour about things that, different sort of emotional strands that are going on inside that. There was a lot. It was very, very rich.
Yeah. So as when Michael saved the dog, got the dog out of outer space, wasn't the dog already sitting next to you?
No, it was not there anymore.
It was
The
not
dog
there
gone.
anymore. And then when you hit the button to turn around or whatever it was, you did see there was the woman there, his wife, right, in space. But then we lost her right away because why did we lose
I
her?
could steer, and I steered immediately for the dog, went for the dog,
And then you got the dog, and then you saw the wife.
and then the wife was there, and the audio was telling me I had an option to keep, to go drive, but fuel is really, really low. So I said back, because I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't go get her. Because to me, she's just a memory. And I could be, so my symbolic interpretation of this is I could live forever with a memory of a deceased spouse or move forward with a live dog. So I moved forward with a live dog. Oh, okay. Well, good.
Wow.
Don't show this video to my wife, Diane. I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that. But
Dave?
How did you? So, one of the questions I sort of had was like, how did the cutscenes get triggered? Like, how did the memories happen? Did you have a sense in the world like what was causing them?
I felt if I touched the watch, magic happens. And there was so much richness in the world. I really, really liked that you signaled with the dog that, oh, there might be something going on behind me. Go look to see if there's another object coming or something with the dog. That was great. You had to give me the hint about the button on the spaceship because there's so much in there. It didn't, and you said there was some audio. It just didn't play loud enough for me to pick up. So that's an interactable I missed. But to me, if I touched, especially the pocket watch, maybe there were some others, but the pocket watch triggered a memory of the wife coming into scene, touching the battery brought her into scene that the dog had. So that there was this connection with the dog and the wife that maybe I'm getting wrong, but I'm just establishing the dog in the present, the wife in the past. But the pocket watch was really overloaded with symbolism.
Watching it, it looked like the button to open the door. So the first trigger.
Yeah.
And the watch
That ends the first memory.
ends the memory. Okay. The battery triggers a scene.
Trigger is that the dog will first come to refresh the battery for you, and when the player gets close to the dog, the flashback.
Yeah. And so like, it seems like key objects trigger the flashback.
Yes.
The wife in the hospital scene, is that triggered by something, or is it just part of the flow of we're at the destination place?
Part of the flow. We get to the black hole. We
Okay.
enter the hospital scene.
Once you get into the black hole, you get into the hospital scene.
Yes.
And Mike, when you talked about going to get the dog, how did you know the dog was where the dog was and that you were trying to get it?
There was an object with wiggly things that I presumed was the bottom of the dog and the legs. As I got closer, the dog made noise that told me this is dog. But it was out there. It just, to me, if it was rotated, it would have been clearer.
Could you have gotten the watch instead at that moment?
Could I have gone for the watch? I could have gone for something else, but I didn't know what the something else was. So I don't think so. It wasn't in my visual frame of reference. The dog was, And immediately when I saw the seat was empty and there was no dog, I only thought about rescuing the dog. So I thought about nothing else.
Was the radar showing 2 dots? Was that your little gimmick there?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the radar does work also.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. So at the beginning, though, you had a problem with the battery, where that went. I saw you struggle with it.
Yeah, because there's so much on the table. There's tools on the table. There's things I could, there's 2 different colored things. I thought maybe I have to test the battery with the tools on the table, that I thought I might have to do more prep. I didn't really think about just taking place. You did signal it, but I had to look over there again.
They did, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was a phantom battery spot.
Was it going on off and on?
Yeah, so I would have found where the battery goes. I might not have known that button thing is actually a button unless you signaled that. And maybe that was coming. Maybe you would have made more visual signaling on the button.
It flashes and it pings, basically. Yeah, but that's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, really nice. Very fun. Very interesting.
An impressive amount built. I mean, I think that the space, fundamentally, you got a reaction when the spaceship showed up, and the space you built out was really impressive. It was definitely, because I knew the story, I think I filled in a lot of gaps in terms of like connecting the idea that it's a black hole in the first place, the idea that we're going there, the idea that there's a disaster and like the dog gets ejected from the spaceship. I think there's some things here that I've got some skepticism that like a naive guest will pick up on, but they're all there, and I think you did an impressive job of like getting the pieces you want to build in and connecting them enough so that you can fill in the gaps.
Yeah, Michael did. And it also, the world itself, the story world was evocative. That's the word I would describe it. It was really an evocative experience. I could tell it by the way you were doing it.
I'm super impressed with the way the audio and the visuals came together, and from simple things like going to black at the death scene and coming up from black, to the powerful moment of the sound effects of the arm going out and grabbing the dog and bringing the dog in. It just, well done, really nice.
So that was a cool. How did you know what button to push to extend?
I didn't have to push a button. I had to get close.
You just had to get close.
I just
It
had to get
happened
close.
automatically.
And then
Yeah, I was
I was in
watching.
the smart
didn't-
spaceship.
I
Yeah.
thought I didn't see anything yet. All right, cool. Good work. Thanks, Michael.
You okay? I think so. It's
You're the raccoon, David. Sorry. Rocky Raccoon.
That's actually the name of this actually.
Rocky Raccoon.
So for our game, you're taking the role of a raccoon. So we have these
all right.
things to dress you up.
You sure it's not Ralph's turn?
So here are the raccoon ears. And then there's also a raccoon tail that you can tie on yourself with this.
You gonna put that in tail?
How'd you get the tail?
You should be used to this. You have little kids.
I believe. I will admit.
My kids are all grown up now.
It didn't wear tail this year, but there was my Halloween costume last year was a dragon that involved a tail. Should I glove up?
Yes.
Nothing says BBW like foil tape and alligator clips. Alright, I'm gonna tap a paw to start.
right, Dave, tell me about it.
All right, yeah. So I was a raccoon, and my wife my wife was pregnant. I learned it sort of at the end, but I was going on a mission to help get her warm. We go into the city, and we pass by, sort of in the background initially, a homeless person, but then we encounter someone from animal control who's got a net who chases us, which might be a little sneaky. We climb a chimney, then we hear the sounds, I think of like, sort of Christmas inside, and we jump down the chimney. Chaos ensues. We end up back outside. We've discovered it's running late. The sun's about to rise. So we go back home, and then we have a really sweet encounter with that homeless person. We go back to our den, and my wife has since given birth, so I feel a little bad about missing that. But it's kind of a sweet little ending where we all sort of have a happy little moment. Feels about right?
I thought initially was in the pitch, I thought the raccoon was out trying to get food. No?
Originally, the raccoon was a thief, and he was going out onto the town to find different treasures. So we kind of totally. Originally, the raccoon was a thief who was going into town to find different treasures, but we shifted to more of like a family, heartwarming story that takes place at Christmas instead.
Yeah. So at the end, did the homeless person go back with the raccoon to the den?
Yes.
And
So
was that
originally,
the last image, was that the person with all the raccoons on?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. I couldn't tell. It seemed a little abstract to me, the face on the person particularly. So I couldn't tell.
I would say that the interaction was very simple, but it was nice. It was the most effective part was being chased. It was just sort of nice to sort of feel the control and feel like I'm tapping the paws and moving around. The question I had, I'm a sucker for where we can't see the character, but sound effects are happening. Should I have been moving through the house while the sound effects were happening? Was I sort of was it sort of meant to be a sequence where I'm moving and the sound effects are happening? Because I waited until they were done, and then I moved. And I was kind of curious about the timing and intent of that.
Yeah, actually, when you move through the house, so there a chaos and people being scared or getting him out of the house. So it should be you are moving through the house and the chaos is always there.
Well, and I was just a little confused because it seemed like I had control. The camera wasn't moving until I moved, but the audio was moving forward. And so I was just a little confused about the sequence of events. That said, I mean, it's just a nice gag to be sort of in a space. Like I said, I'm a sucker for it. There's a scene in Monkey Island where they play that, where you go behind the scenes and stuff happens and it's left to your imagination what's happening. And it's a nice way to be efficient with your resources, but still convey story. And I got it. I sort of got the sense that I had gone into the house and the humans were not happy to see me, and it was not successful. And you didn't need a lot of animation to sell that, but the sound effects were very effective in getting me there.
Could the raccoon catcher, could he have caught the raccoon? So it's impossible.
Actually, it's a tricky one. So.
Yeah. So even if Dave didn't hide in the bushes, the raccoon, the catcher would have went right past him.
Yeah, because we are just thinking of if he's caught by the catcher. So the consequence of it is that maybe the game is over, so it will break the immersive of the player. So we are just thinking of.
Well, and I got the threat, and I didn't want to get caught, and so I basically the moment for me worked well because it was less about what will happen and more about there's a threat that I need to react to, and I felt like I was able to react and do all that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it was a very sweet, complete story. I liked how you used the sort of the thought bubble above the raccoon to sort of have the raccoon talking. I was like the person at the end was like, hey, you can talk to me. And I was like, he can hear raccoons? And I was like, yeah, no, he can understand raccoons. And one of the nice things about that was I'm basically building up the story in my head throughout all of this. And I'm making guesses because you give me these pictures, and there was a nice little extra bit of clarity that we got in that moment that helped sort of like bring it together more, which I appreciated. I definitely had a similar reaction to you, Ralph, of like, I think the resolution of some of the art made it a little hard to tell the end scene, but like a lot of little touches, like the paw prints being matched with human footprints, really nice. You had just a lot of uses of like imagery and scenes to like tell the story that ended up working really well.
Yeah, really nice. And I also love the little touch of the Christmas lights blinking on the trees. That was really a nice little touch.
Yeah, the music, all that stuff, like it was very, like, you had text on the screen near the end, but it was nice and pretty much no dialogue, and the story was communicated. It was communicated well.
Cool. Good job, guys. Nice world.
What a lucky find! The captain was right.
I can't wait to start it.
Keep clear of the protective case.
Incubation shut down.
about mother will put the life of all these people?
You're here to shut up and do your job. Planet's gonna be showering us with cash, and you're sitting here and whining. Ugh, do you want a cut or not?
Fine, but the life of all these people are on your head.
What about mother will put the life of all these people?
You're here to shut up and do your job. Planet's gonna be showering us with cash, and you're sitting here and whining. Ugh, do you want a cut or not?
Fine, but the life of all these people are on your head.
Everyone is dead! Help! She's looking for the egg! Give her the egg! Give her the egg! Give her the...
What about mother will put the life of all these people?
You're here to shut up and do your job. Planet's gonna be showering us with cash, and you're sitting here and whining. Ugh, do you want a cut or not?
Fine, but the life of all these people are on your head.
What a lucky find! The captain was right.
I can't wait to start it!
Keep clear of the protective case.
Installation shut down. Everyone is dead! Help! She's looking for the egg! Give her the egg! Give her the egg! Give her the...
didn't know what I was doing, obviously. You could see that I was kind of blanking out and like, okay, what am I doing? I didn't get the color sequence doing that. You had to tell me what to do. I'm a naive user here, obviously. I kind of knew the world because I knew the world from what their pitches were. So that's why I knew to give the egg to the monster, because that's what the monster wanted, right? I knew that. But I didn't know the other sequences and things to do until you told me. So there wasn't that much indirect control to let me know that I had to do that. Even that, I saw the poster on the wall, or the thing on the wall, you know, the color order, but I didn't know that was what I had to do. And I don't know what you could have done to give me that, to tell me that, to give me that clue that I had to do this, I had to do that. And then and then when you said the numbers on the pad, it looked like a date to me. It didn't look, you're just using the first three numbers, the four numbers. And so that, I didn't get that either. You know, that didn't stand out to me. It didn't make sense to me, actually. Once I did that, and then obviously I knew what it was doing. The monster was coming out, alien was coming out, and it wanted its egg. And so I got that part. Anyway, but that's where I was lost at.
Yeah, well, in watching it, the atmosphere of this, I think, was really effective. I think the setting and sort of knowing that sort of on I'm guessing a spaceship, having basically an alien egg, there was like some warnings, like, you know, the iPad message was like, what about the mother, I think? And it's like, you know, don't worry about that. Well, their lives are in your hands now. So there's definitely like some nice, like, setting up of this world, the sense that things were like sort of like murky and hard to see, and like there was like people basically died. I really love the space of this, and I think Ralph, like, yeah, I think the connection of what you're supposed to do, and getting that to the guest was, I think, the tricky thing. And you're doing a particularly interesting challenge, which you're doing puzzle design. So it's not just task design, where it's like, oh, go do this. It's like, not only do you have to get the guests to know what to do, but then once they get there, there's sort of like a puzzle to solve. I think one of the things I was trying to figure out is, I guess, who is the guest in this? Who are you?
So,
Okay, so one of the scientists.
yeah, so you're the person in the beginning intro that's like zoomed in on, that's like watching everybody.
And if I sort of heard the lead-in dialogue, it sounds like the ship saying like power down or something like that, and we sort of need to restore power. So the first mission is restoring power, but like it was really hard to hear. And I think that Ralph, you mentioned indirect control. There's sort of like what is your goal, like your beginning goal, and from it sounds like it's restore power. And then on top, the tricky thing then is the guest isn't a scientist on the ship, so I don't know what restore power means. And I think that's one place that there's like this challenge to connect to, which is these three buttons are the power restore console, and that's what you need to get to. And same thing with the keypad, like it was hard to know the next step was to get the egg, and that you get the egg by using the keypad to get it. And I think that would be where I would sort of like focus if I were looking to iterate this, it's like, how do you get the guest to know what their goal is, and then what interface in the world is the goal? And it's definitely like when you look at interactive worlds, the challenge here wasn't solving the puzzle. The challenge here was knowing your goal in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, being in the world was really immersive. I felt really good in it. You know, it felt real, and it felt great. If you noticed, you're talking about indirect control stuff, I wanted to go to that joystick because that joystick was lit. It had color to it. It stood out among everything else. And automatically, I thought it had something to do. I thought it had some agency. So I went to it twice, if you noticed, because thinking, well, it's obviously, you're pointing it out to me, and it says, come here, do something with me, because it was lit more than anything else. And I went there, nothing happened, and I felt a little disappointed by that. And then when I saw the iPad, I picked that up, but I still couldn't, and again, I couldn't hear really well what they were saying. Subtitles would have helped quite a bit. And what was the dead person there? Who was that? The captain. So was there any, so in the intro with the dialogue, were they talking about a captain being dead in a ship, or did I know that?
No, so what happens is that you find the egg in the intro, and then you're like studying it because it's a science lab, and then all of a sudden there's like a huge crash, and alarms go off, and then you pass out. So like it implies that between like you passing out and you waking up, everyone died.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so I was lost. You had to tell me what to do, which I think that could be, that could be fixed.
Well, and it is, I like the idea, actually, the iPad, the tablet is a really great idea of like you find it and it gives you the connection. So I think you have all the right pieces. It's just sort of like, how do you then get a naive guest or even a somewhat like informed guest to know to make those steps? And I think it's the world, actually, one of its strengths is it's sort of dark and murky.
Yep.
But then the thing you sort of need to bring into it is that piece of clarity, so the guest can be like, oh, okay, I'm here. The next thing to do is turn the power on. And so when the guest has it in their head, then they're looking for power. Okay, so they see power, they do this. Okay, next thing they have in their head is they're looking to how to get the egg out. The tentacle appearance was really nice.
Yeah.
I think the world, and it's a credit to the world that the world set up this idea that something really bad happened, something really dangerous happened, something is still out there and threatening, and so the tentacle appearing. There was a little bit of like, once it appeared, I think it sort of became just like less threatening in that moment. But I think effectively all the beats are there, and they're sort of like the right beats. Like, we've got to do this, and so just like, how do you get the guest now to flow through it in the way that the world wants them to flow through it would be the focus.
Yeah.
Cool. Agreed.
Good work.
Nice world though. Yeah.
There's two videos, video 2 and video 3. Sorry.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Oliver. Wake up. Come on, Oliver. Wake up.
Set course for the light.
I don't know, Captain. We never received any radio calls from any incoming vessels. We shouldn't risk closing in on unidentified vessels in low visibility like this.
Set course for the light.
You heard the captain, Oliver. Set course for the light.
Set course for the light. Set course for the light.
Oh, I don't know. My wife gave birth to our boy just 2 weeks before we got deployed here. I barely had any chance to hold him. Maybe I should have taken up that administrative position when I had the chance. It's not like this shit pays any better.
Oliver, focus. Set course for the light.
Ah, shit! I always get the worst hands. Quit whining. I can barely hear the engine noise over your constant crying.
Snap out of it, Oliver. Set course for the light. Don't get too comfortable here, Oliver. Just when it starts to feel like home, the sea will find a way to devour you whole. But don't let that frighten you. Trust the ship. She may be old, San Clemente, but she's more experienced with rough seas than any one of us. Oliver, set course for the light. set course for the light.
Look out! Wave on starboard! Wave on starboard! Captain! Hard a port! Hard a port! Hard a port! We have to avoid broadside onto the wave! Wave on starboard! Wave on starboard! Captain! We're losing control over the ship! Hard a port!
It's not turning! We lost too much speed!
Get him full steam!
He's on full steam already!
Well then give us some more! Oh, it's too late! Get everyone out of the engine room!
Shit! Brace yourself!
Oliver, hold on! Brace yourself! Brace!
Come on, Oliver. Wake up. Wake up, Oliver.
All right. So yeah, we're in the cavern. The steering wheel lets us steer. And I'm like, I sense your world. I'm trying to like work through the ending, but I really like, so at the beginning, I remember doing this on Tuesday, and the way you started doing the memories was a little like, it felt a little random. I think you did a much better job. Like the context now makes a lot more sense. Like we're steering, and I think now you have more of a metaphor. We're almost like daydreaming. We're almost sort of like drifting into a memory of a conversation with these crewmates, and it feels like that process up to the point where the boat capsizes. I'm curious how it feels, because you've got this like, I really like the repeated audio, like set course for the light. You've got this like, it's setting a sort of a mood of like monotony, of like this thing that's happening. It feels very repetitive in a way that's very intentional. And like that tied in with the idea of like, hey, stop daydreaming, like sort of like does feel like it now connects in a sense of like, what am I doing? How does that lead into things? I think that just watching it, it seemed good. I'm curious what it feels like to be there and steering. I definitely had a quick reaction. It's like, we had to set course for the light, and man, I kind of want, instead of like two windows, I kind of want one window in the middle, so I can like aim. So you have this like little bit of like level design challenge of like, we need to center something, but you don't give us that window. Just like a little technical thing. Okay, then the wave hits. You've got this sort of like moment of like, hey, hard to port, and there's like, it looked like a big wave seems to be rolling towards us. From then on out, do we have control? Like, or is the rest of that? Because it looks like you actually have in the audio, the steering doesn't work. So I'm assuming at that point the steering doesn't actually give us any control.
That's right.
And then when we have the scene in the water where everyone's sort of like, the memories are sort of like, and the people are going into the water. There's no control there either.
No control.
And then I guess the thing that I'm sort of like a little stuck on, like the last scene, we're back in the ship, but there's like water everywhere. What is the ending? I was like, I'm not too sure where we end up with this. I think it's sort of like where I'm getting to.
It's supposed to be a recurring nightmare.
Yeah.
So
you are waking up into this cycle again. And we wanted to bring you back into the bridge, just like the same bridge that you began with when you started the experience, but slightly off.
Okay, my reaction was, is the water supposed to be here?
Yes.
And it was hard to tell because it mostly just seemed weird. And it sounds like you are going for something that's a little bit weird. And I was like stuck between this is intentional or this something went wrong. And I think that there's a fine line for weird. Where is it something that connects with the world, or does it feel like a bug? And I was a little confused by that.
Yeah, when he says wake up, wake up, wake up, I suspected it was a recurring nightmare or a dream or something like that. What I didn't know, though, when the ship was sinking, when we see a wide shot of the ship in the distance sinking, there's people also. I thought they were on rafts at first, but they're not on life rafts at all.
No.
Because initially I thought that's what you were going to do. Someone was going to be on a raft. Is that right?
The guest, yes.
The guest is on a raft. But I didn't see that part in it. No. You got rid of that.
We prioritized and it went down.
Got it. Yeah, when he says steer to the light, again, it didn't seem like, the light was, someone was steering to the light. It was like, so every time you don't see the light in the window, is that when the voice comes on, and that's what triggers the voice that says steer into the light?
That's actually more of a manual thing. So basically it's a manual trigger. So if the guest doesn't steer, I'll just like let them do something, add some interaction to it. So that just like kind of like tell them steer towards the light. Just giving them like objective that's not really like triggers any upcoming event.
So the sinking of the ship is not any fault of bad actors, right? It's the fault of a storm, of a large wave, correct? Is that what it is?
I felt there's a little foreshadowing where in the very beginning, the captain's like, hey, set course to the light. And I guess you, the character you are, is like, we shouldn't do that. Like, we haven't got any like official, like, it says that they call for distress. It feels like a bad idea to go to the light because it might be dangerous. So I got a little piece of foreshadowing.
Did you?
But I'm still like, this world does feel a little like there's room for interpretation, and it's like exactly what happens is not super clear.
And I like the way you try to make these crew members a little bit more human, giving them some backstory. A new father hasn't even held his baby yet. That's always tweak your heartstrings when someone dies. So I like that. That was a nice little element to put in to make the story a little bit more human and loss greater. So as a story element, that worked really well. But I still wasn't quite sure then about what was really happening in the end of it. You say it was a dream and a recurring nightmare, and I thought I got it, but it didn't quite make sense because at the beginning, you don't set it up as this is a dream world, do you? Or did I miss something?
At the beginning, it did say like "Wake up, Oliver." So it's kind of like
at the beginning too.
At the very beginning, yeah.
All right, so maybe I missed that then.
And maybe the place where I would look to like really emphasize stuff is like the beginning feels actually like I said, it sets a mood and sets a repetition and it sets this idea of we're just sort of like steering, which I think works well. I think it's the shipwreck scene that I'd be looking for a much higher like valence of emotion. I kind of want, and I think that's what I'm looking for in this is like if it's a dream, it sounds like it's a nightmare to some degree. And I think I want the emotional shift to like really hit. And I think right now it's kind of a quiet shipwreck. It just in the sense of like it happens sort of slowly. There is a little bit of yelling, but I kind of want like it to be like a really hard shift of like screaming and like to hear more terror. And that way it's sort of going, it'd be more of a contrast to like the beginning. And then like I could almost see like snapping, like a really hard cut from like the sounds of that back to wake up. And so I think this, right now, the world feels like it's just, the pacing is more like methodical. So like this, and then this, and then this. And I think if I would like to push it, I would like really have contrast. And the beginning sets up really well for that contrast because it's like this sort of like, it's slow, we're hearing these memories, and it's sort of like we get a chance to dwell on this. And then like I said, I kind of want the drama of this to be like a really, really hard contrast to that.
It's a rich world.
Yeah.
It's very rich. I love how you put it together. It works really well in that sense. But it's like anything else, like a story. You got to always kind of get the beats down and fill in the holes that what makes a story understood.
I kind of want you to have 6 months and the production team to like if you think of like the perfect storm, and like the idea of this just like terrifying wall of water coming at me, and like the cavern feels like a really compelling place to like set that. Like just thinking about that, where you've got this idea of the ship's bridge, and you can see this like inevitable thing rushing your way. It's kind of dark, like the lights flashing, like just feels very evocative. And now I want that in like really high fidelity. I want to like turn that moment into something like even bigger. And so I think it's a really clever use of setting to like pull this together. And so I will wonder like, how do you make that loop feel complete?
All right. Cool. Awesome.
Good work, team.
Thank you.
All right, I think we have 2 worlds we're going to go up to see. And then tomorrow, we're going to see the other 7, right? Anyway, I mean, I will say, Ralph, this was really, the stuff we got to see today was really exciting. Even just like the changes from Tuesday. Like a lot of stuff like coming together, like the story clicking, an impressive amount of contrast. Like it's always exciting to see like all the different places the worlds go. Not everyone has to die. Sometimes you can have a fun encounter with raccoons.
We don't expect you to die.
But anyway, I just say a lot of really great work. I think I've been talking to other faculty. The best thing in these past few weeks has just been all the conversations about story, and how much it is this challenge of not just telling a story, but getting a guest into a story and connecting their actions and their understanding to that. And I think every team is pushing on that in ways that are really compelling and really different than just making a game. So I think
Story's hard. Yeah. It is really, really hard. It is such a hard thing. If it was easy, everyone could do it and make it be easy. But it's a hard thing to get those beats, to fill in those holes so it makes sense and you're moving along with it, you're progressing with it. It's a very difficult thing to do. And then to add it to something like with the visuals and particularly whatever platform you're working with, it is difficult. In a 2 or 3 week period, yeah, you guys did an amazing job.
Yeah, so a lot of great work. We're going to go up and check out the other 2, the cave and the cavern. And then tomorrow we're going to see the rest. So yeah, great job so far.
All right, man. Good job.
possible,